You haven't asked the question yet, so you're right. Yep.
Are you sure? What are your thoughts on this 10,000 hour?
Hate it. Absolutely hate it with a passion. Hate it. Worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Thank you for raising it, but I hate it. Hate it. You could train anybody doing 10,000 hours. Doesn't mean they're going to do it well, and it completely negates the concept of coaching. Because the idea behind coaching is to create a link with another human being and inspire them and instruct them and guide them and work with them and engage them so that their rate of learning accelerates. If you just said, yeah, well, sooner or later they'll get there just by doing a lot of it. Not only that, who's got 10,000 hours to do anything? This is not, the world is changed. It's no longer what's the most amount of work a child can do, an athlete can do. It's now what's the least amount of work they can do and when. It's a very different philosophy. The old days used to be, let's just work relentlessly hard over and over and over and do the same thing until they can't move. No, now it's about what's the least amount of work I can do and still win. Not the least amount of work I can do. That's very different. Still got to work hard. So I've got a couple of boys at the moment. We're doing some really interesting work, doing high intensity swimming over about a quarter of the distance that they normally do. It's taking us the same amount of time to train, but we're not wasting time. Everything they do is directly related to getting better and learning. When they first started training with me, it was just get in the water, shut up and do the laps. And we were hoping and wishing that if they do enough laps, sooner or later they might get good. And we've just gone completely the other way. I don't know if it's going to work, but it's a different philosophy. And they've bought into it. I hate the 10,000 hours with an absolute passion. I really do. Because it just takes this whole concept of a human being saying, I could do this in 10,000, but if I take ownership of this, and I work a little bit harder, or if I really concentrate and focus on this next one that I'm doing, and instead of relying on repetition, if I rely on concentration, focus, learning, picking stuff up off the floor, if I learn all that stuff, getting better, it's okay. Just grab it if you need it, no problem. I really hate it. The guy's made a lot more money than me, so a lot more books, but I hate it. I should write a book called 10,000 Reasons Why I Hate That Book. Good luck dealing with the litigation.
When you were talking about the progression before, you were saying that kids go, or athletes go up and down like that. What are some strategies that you think are effective to deal with when they go on the downs?
All right, so good question, really good question. So let's just say there's our thingo, and more or less something like that. What is going to get them through those bits when nothing seems to be going right? They're always fatigued, they've got soreness. What will get them through? Why do you stay with your partner through really rough times? Commitment do we make? Exactly. Oh, you're such a cynic. Where's the romantics in the room? The reason we say for richer, for poorer is that we're hoping that the strength of our love and commitment to that human being will get us through no matter what happens. We're hoping that the strength of the love and commitment that the athlete has for their sport will get them through those rough times. That's why I challenge the kids, why do you want to play cricket? Because I love playing cricket. No, it tells me nothing. But why do you want to play cricket? Oh, I just love getting out there and hitting the ball and throwing the ball. It's just a great feeling and out there with my mates. But why is that so important? Well, you know what? I've always just loved doing it. It's just something about running around with my mates. My dad used to play cricket. Okay, now it starts. What I'm saying. And Dad always used to play with me in the backyard. And I loved nothing more than being there with my dad. Every afternoon, that was the one thing that he enjoyed doing, was bowling to me and hit. And that's so important to me because all my happy memories is about, okay, now I'm starting to understand what I'm dealing with. And then as a coach, I can help them to understand why it is they're doing it. I understand that. But I need to know, do they really love this? Why are they so... Because when those rough times come, and they will, because a rough time could be, they got a terrible decision against them in a selection, and they missed out on something that they've been working for years, and they've got a choice. Give up, go away and sulk, or move on and deal with it. So that's really important. The other thing I'm dealing with this ski group that I'm about to go and work with, which will be What an interesting little session. It's about, so much of it is about their confidence and their level of confidence and not allowing things like that, so they have a bad time, not allowing things like that to last, to be able to fight through it and have the resilience to be able to fight through it. So the next question is going to be around, or we'll talk about confidence for a little while. So my belief is this, is that confidence equals belief, so self-belief, times evidence. Right? Confidence is self-belief times evidence. By the way, guys, it's really, really normal. My wife, Helen, is a clinical psychologist, and we're into this stuff all the time. We work with really troubled kids, violent kids sometimes, kids with drug problems, family issues, a whole range. And she's a 2-time Commonwealth Games medalist, and she'll be here next year when we do a bit of a tour around. But, and you might be, I'll listen to her next year talk about this, and she's much better than I am, and smarter and better looking, just ask her. But, guys, it's really normal for your kids to get angry. It's really normal for them to be disappointed. So if they're in a sporting event and they drop a ball, or that poor girl from the England soccer this morning, oh, if you haven't seen it, man, don't you just bleed for her? They just bleed. Unless you're like Australians, we're not particularly fond of pommies, but in her case, as a human being, when the poor, no, seriously, you just bleed for what happened this morning. So she's given up an own goal in a really tight situation, and it's just going to be a tough thing for her to move on and deal with. But it's really normal, if your kids don't achieve a goal, for them to get angry, upset, annoyed, frustrated, to want 5 minutes by themselves, and if they want that, give it to them. There's some kids you've got to give space to. Don't just assume that you, by hugging them and loving them more and continuing to say it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. It does matter to them. It's quite normal for them to be angry, cry, frustrated a little bit. What's not normal, and when you've got to start looking at how can we work with the kids and help them deal with disappointments, is when they start becoming destructive. So, kid throws a ball, goes into touch, and they lose a game. Really normally go, oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, fix it up next week. Oh. That's really normal. Well, we're human beings. Allow the emotions to come out. And allow the emotions, that's perfectly normal. If, though, they start going, oh, I threw it out, I'm so stupid, I'm so hopeless, it always happens to me, I'm never good at anything, I can't believe I'm even playing this game, I'm really awful, everything I ever does fails, that's when you've got a problem. When they start destroying themselves and going down into the black hole and don't move on, that's when you've got to look at some different strategies, and that's another lecture on dealing with emotional issues with kids. But confidence, belief times evidence. What we do, guys, as coaches is we fill this bucket up, this can up, with evidence. What's evidence in this context? Results. Yeah, it can be. Results goes in, and strength training goes in, and speed training goes in, and information about nutrition goes in, and endurance work goes in, and power training goes in, and tactical information. That's our job as coaches, is to fill their bucket full of evidence. Why? It's a really common sense reason. What do I want your kids doing when they stand at the start line of a race, or when they're running out in a Super Rugby final? Yes, you want them standing there going, I can do this. Yeah, success comes in cans. I can, we can, you can, they can. You want them standing there going, I can do this. No problems. And their brain says, oh, do you really think so? I was telling Dave today about Fat Wayne and Skinny Wayne. Where did we go for a coffee? It's bloody good coffee. If you're in the room, I want 10% for doing this, by the way.
You and me, wasn't it?
Yeah, where did we go? Where did we go to?
Tarragona.
That was nice, wasn't it? Yeah. Is anyone in here that's got a share in the business? We get free coffee?
You were on at the Carroll Slice, I think.
Yes, I was. Guys, I had Fat Wayne and Skinny Wayne talking to each other. Fat Wayne says, mate, have a nice piece of carrot cake. You deserved it. You got a long drive tonight. It's been a great couple of weeks. Skinny Wayne says, listen, Fatso. You know how hard it was to get your jeans on this morning. You don't need a piece of carrot cake. Just, that'll be fine. Oh, but look, I've been pretty good, you know. I didn't have much for breakfast. I've been busy. I'll look after the rest of the day. Listen, Fatso. So Fat Wayne and Skinny Wayne have an argument with each other. And most of the time, hopefully, But what you want with your athlete is they're standing there going, I can do this, and, you know, failure Wayne comes in and says, oh, I don't know, this is pretty tough. And the other one says, boy, training hard, strength training's going through the roof, splits are fantastic, I won a lead-up competition, man, I can do this. You know, failure Wayne comes in and says, oh yeah, but this is completely different. This is nationals. Doesn't matter where it is, what it is, I'm prepared. I'm getting plenty of sleep, I eat well, doesn't matter, I can do this. That's what we want them to be able to do. We give them evidence as coaches, which is why we don't compromise in training when preparing athletes to do great things. So they can stand there and say, no matter what they throw at me, I can deal with it. I can perform whatever I need to do. I work a lot, AFL and different pro teams, on mental toughness. Definition of mental toughness for me, when we're working with those guys, is the ability to do your job no matter what happens to you or around you. Get a bad call from the ref, get a knock, drop a ball, make a mistake, get injured, get hurt, you just keep doing your job for the team. To me, that's a definition of mental toughness, not standing up next to someone and clobbering them. That's just stupidity. Yeah, that's just aggression. That's not being mentally tough. That's, if anything, losing control, losing composure is the opposite of mental toughness. Is the opposite. So what we do, guys, is that's what we do for that reason. Because it doesn't make any sense to have an athlete standing there on the blocks, Olympic Games going, I can't do this, I suck big time, I'm no good. I'm so useless, I'm so awful. The way your body, the way everything works is like this. This is you. Lost a lot of weight since I was last here, and right, so that's you. Drop forward. Right, the way that we do is we have our thoughts come in, and if you don't know how to manage them, those thoughts become words. So they become words, either self-talk or saying to somebody, I just can't do this, I shouldn't even be on the start line, I'm not up to playing netball at this level, and your body then starts to believe it. And that's why you start to shake and breathing gets short and shallow. It starts to take all that negativity. Okay, sure, I sound like an American here. Okay, so all that negative energy flows through your body. And that's when you start to feel nervous and get upset because you've perceived that this is a difficult situation. You've never faced it before. I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. I tell my friends, I tell the coach, I tell myself, and my body starts, I can't do this, I can't do this. And it all falls apart. And one of the things, and I know that Dave teaches it, is concept of mindfulness, where we teach athletes to recognise thoughts, but not necessarily accept them or take them in. If you really want to get a good resource for nothing, right, and I don't get any percentage because nothing is nothing, half of nothing is nothing, Mal Huxter. Have a look at Mal Huxter, H-U-X-T-E-R. He's a clinical psychologist who's also a bit of a hippie, lives in northern New South Wales where they've grown a weed and a ganja. And he doesn't do that, it was just where apparently it's grown. The weed of wisdom, the evil weed, all that stuff. That's where it's grown in northern New South Wales, that's where Mal is. I don't know, I wouldn't put the two things together because he's a pretty good guy. But on his website is 40 or 50 free downloadable podcasts that will teach you how to do mindfulness training. If not, look up mindfulness, there'll be psychologists in town. Talk to Dave about how they're going to be teaching it and how they run classes. There's a whole bunch of people who can do it. The best people I've ever met are also involved in yoga because that's what yoga is all about, about being present. But we teach this a lot. We run these classes with kids to teach them not to allow the thoughts to come in and become words, and so it doesn't come into their body. So come back over here. I want the kids standing there going, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, because the alternate doesn't make any sense. What we know though as well, and this is how parenting comes into it, is that I've had some even international level athletes who don't believe in themselves, who don't accept themselves for who they are, who constantly have doubts about themselves as human beings. And it's like having a hole in the bucket. So you're putting in strength training and gym work and paleo diet and all that. Let's not go down that route. And we just keep throwing stuff in there. Went to a session on paleo diet a few weeks ago, lost all credibility. This guy stood up and said, and on the paleo diet you can eat as much as you like and you'll never put weight on. Who thinks there's a slight problem with that? You can put weight on with too much lettuce. But he said I could have bacon and eggs and ham and high protein and eat as much as I'd like and I'd never put weight on. Oh, come on, seriously. Don't believe everything you read, guys. So, belief times evidence. This is why the parenting side is so important, because this is what coaching is all about. And we get really, really good at understanding the content and intent and what to put in their bucket to develop athletes who will go, I can. But if the parents haven't done their job, so the athlete, in spite of the amount of evidence that we've given them, continues to doubt themselves, continues to go, I can't do this, continues, as soon as anything happens, they're down on themselves. That sort of stuff needed to be done by mum and dad, usually before the age of 8 or 10. And all those self-worth, self-acceptance and self-love things are already there. And the job of the parent, I'm more convinced on this trip than I've ever been, more committed to this than I've ever been, the role of parents in sport helping us do our job is far greater than even I previously realised. Because if you do a great job developing the human being, right? Steve Hansen the other week said, great human beings make great All Blacks. Great human beings, couldn't agree with him more. Absolutely right. So the two of us working together, we plug this gap and boom. I can. Yep.
What are the evidences that where they want to be, or the level they want to achieve? This is something that happens.
Well, when would you know that? I wouldn't know that till they were 24 or 25 maybe. I wouldn't know that at 10, 11, 12. I wouldn't know that in mid-teens. Unless they were in gymnastics or some, by necessity, early specialisation event. I'd be very reluctant to write a kid off before early to mid-20s if they're completely committed to the achievement of their goal. I'd never write them off. So it depends on what age are we looking at.
Well, I'm thinking in a different context, it's not in a sporting context.
Sometimes you've got to reevaluate your goals. I'm never going to run a sub 2-hour marathon. Yeah, I'm never going to play for the Wallabies, although I could probably do worse. They could probably do worse than put me somewhere. But you're thinking outside of sport, have a look at, just Google, right, Dr. Google, things people say before they die, other than, right, things people say before they die, written usually by nurses or doctors that are dealing with palliative care, and people will say, looking back on your life, what's your greatest regret? I didn't follow my dream. I knew what it was, I was passionate about it, but I spent most of my life doing things for other people to keep them happy, or doing the things that I thought I was supposed to do in the role I was playing, and I gave up on my dream. And it's so important. So those of you with kids, what do you want for your kids? You want for them what we all want. What's that? To be happy. Well, we've all had money come and go. We've all had health come and go. We've all had partners come and go. We've all had ups and downs, but ultimately, you'd like to say to your kids, what I really want you to do is find out what you're most passionate about, which is usually what you're going to be good at. Give it everything you've got, and the money will come. The travel will be there. If you're the best toilet cleaner in North Island, you'll be a millionaire. If you're better at knowing what it takes to have spotless dunnies, and you go, that's what you want to do, and you build a firm and build a company or a line of products that are the absolute best in North Island at keeping toilets clean, you're going to be a millionaire. It doesn't matter, stamp collecting. If you're the greatest stamp, if you love stamp collecting, and you get after it, and follow your dream to be the best stamp collector in the world, you'll be a millionaire. You'll be and that's what we were told. Every self-help book at the airport, I'll get you next. Every self-help book at the airport that I look at and you guys look at says the same two things. What is it? Every book. Don't buy any more of it. What do they say? Be all that you can be. Be everything that you can be and take advantage of every opportunity that you're given. That's a summary of every self-help book you'll ever get.